Time now for the Ask the Mayor program here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO, streaming live online at KGLOAM.com and on the KGLO News Facebook page. And if you're watching on Facebook, you were seeing John Lee and I laugh a little bit because we were reminiscing of days of COVID.
Yeah,
for some reason, I don't know.
Well, I don't. We just led up to it. We're coughing online.
We're coughing,
and when I was doing interviews with Tim Fleming during the football season, I had COVID in August, so the next 9 weeks was that slow recovery.
Right.
And it seemed like every question he had, I had to cough through it. I felt terrible.
And I know when I know I had COVID once, but there was one time before they had all the COVID tests and everything where I had every symptom that should have been COVID.
Yeah, you look back at it.
And it's just kind of like, just that time period of the next week or so, and lingering on for weeks and weeks, and but anyway, that's our medical minute, brought to you by the city of Mason City today. But John Lee, Mason City's mayor, joining us on the Ask the Mayor program today here on KGLO. First things first, talked a little bit about this on the Be Our Guest program yesterday, but the Greater Mason City Chamber of Commerce being an award winner once again.
Yeah, they really took home kind of a very well earned honor of the National Chamber of the Year. It's well deserved. Colleen and her entire crew, they really do a great job for Mason City and promotion, and also I think they've been a leader in this community going back to Robin, and they've been a salesperson in front of the cheerleading brigade, so to speak, and they do a great job with the businesses and the partnerships, and so it's well deserved, and really I'm excited for them. We'll have to make sure we celebrate and honor them when they're home. They're probably home, actually. But
I'm not sure when that convention was ending, but I know we've got a board meeting next week that everybody's going to celebrate at. So.
They should. It really is a great, just another to give to everybody. I think we've won obviously a lot of regional awards and national recognitions as a city for our trails and our parks. Right. And this town, and that's why, I love this town. I think we have a lot of teams, and the best part is we celebrate together. There's not really a rivalry. It's just celebrating each other and celebrating this town.
Well, let's talk some city business, and the Cart Smart program continues. I know the council got an update on that, 3 weeks in now?
Yep.
And maybe just get us up to date on, there's still some learning curves. There's still some things that citizens need to we need to remind them to do. And it's a process. Just like anything else, you get through the process and then it's easy going.
And then you wonder, how did we do it without it? You know? And so, it's kind of funny. One of my neighbors who moved here probably a year or two ago, my wife and I were just talking to him out in the street and last week, and Abby, the realtor, was like, so what brought you, whatever the question was. And he goes, I was excited to move to Mason City. The only thing I was a little hesitant about is you guys didn't have like the pick up the cart with carts. And I go, oh, that's funny. So what do you think now? He goes, I'm excited about it. So it's kind of funny that he had moved from a town that had it and he didn't know what to do.
Right.
So hopefully we all get there. Right. But for now, what I would suggest or remind everybody is, we do now have all of our sanitation workers. We have the trucks. And the last couple times we were all able to do it with our designated sanitation workers and the designated trucks to pick up everything within the 10-hour allotment.
Okay.
So we are officially in that window that we want to be. And there's still going to be a lot of learning. And so hopefully it even becomes a lot more, successful. But we are still seeing some carts close together. People put them by their mailboxes or their utility line or next to each other. And I think, depends upon where you're at. You can put your cart in the street, the wheels against the curb, so to speak. We don't like that, but if there's cars around you, you can kind of do that to help them out a little bit. I think there is a problem with, and I kind of mentioned this Tuesday night, I think when people are pulling up to some streets, they're parking in front of them, or people are putting them out behind the cars, and that's probably the biggest issue we're seeing. But again, actually, I don't know if that's the biggest issue. Extra bags are becoming an issue.
That was going to be my follow-up question about extra bags, because it sounded like Jim Collins, the Public Works Director, was saying that we're going to have to throw a little curveball at that.
Here's an example of us trying to be user-friendly to our citizens or for the city. Hey, put an extra one on top, it'll be fine. We were kind of told it'd be fine by the company.
Right.
In practice, they're falling off at best 50%. Our guys are jumping out of the truck. Some of them have hit the ground and split open. Doing a little more research. And I remember when we did we were looking at it, there were a lot of towns who absolutely no extra bags, and they won't even allow the lid to be creaked open.
Okay.
It has to be fully intact. And at the time I remember thinking, and this is when I was city councilman still, that's a little too tight. I think we can be a little more friendly. And now I understand why some cities have gone to that. We haven't gone to that yet, but if you have extra bags, we really would encourage you to keep them off to the side and call sanitation. They will specifically drive out and pick those up as long as they're tagged and whatever. It just makes things a lot easier, smoother. But that's one thing we're seeing and facing.
Well, I would say this is the time, this first few weeks as well, that if you've been consistently putting out bags with the normal size container, this I would think would be the time when you're thinking about going to the larger container.
For sure.
And probably in the long run, I'm guessing maybe saving money.
I would think so. If you are a person, I remember when I had 3 kids, and yeah, we were probably 96, gallon one too, right. and a couple bags. So I get it. But yeah, if you need to get a 96 gallon, we are still taking orders and swapping them out, and the best we can. And so, yeah, if you are a person who is tagging a lot, I would really encourage you to go to the 96. Now, if you're 96 and you have bags, then you're just going to have to, figure it out and call sanitation most weeks, I would guess.
Anything else that we should address with the garbage and recycling?
No, I think it's a good example of, we're trying to be grace 2 ways, work with those workers. It is a safety issue. We're trying to make this work for everybody both ways, but our sanitation workers, I think, have done an outstanding job. Dan Cam, the guy who's kind of headed up, everybody knows, if you've heard, he is going out at 3:34 in the morning and separating cans for the drivers. Like, he would drive the routes before in his old truck. And I'm like, Dan, that's dedication, man. And so I think that's an example of just the work these guys have put in and really have done a good job. And we put them in a hard spot, but I just want to appreciate the sanitation workers out there.
Absolutely. The council this week approving a couple of appointments for employees in Southbridge Mall. Madison Nelson will be the new operations manager at the mall, and I know Brian McHenry, the arena and ice maintenance technician. First of all, with Madison Nelson's position, I know there was some report here and there out there that had said that it was a new position. And we all know that it's not, because Cindy Boonder's had that position for a long time with the mall. And I had not caught up with Cindy. Is she retired now, or is she going to be retired?
She's retired now, or officially will be here on Monday. And I think that's when Madison starts.
Sure.
If she used some sick days, there's always that, window.
Right.
But no, she's done. Madison will get started here this week or next week. No, we're excited. So yeah, it's not a new position, but it is an expanded position. Her duties are, and we all want that. She has to operate the theater. She has to try to recruit new businesses. She's going to work on the vision that the council and we have, and Brian Pauly, that we want that to become a community hub. We're not looking for a bunch of retail. We all know how that's going in this country. That's why malls died in the first place. We want that to be a community center where people do go down there more than just walking. Although we encourage that. Come out, walk, get some food, get a drink, see a theater. Sports Page does a lot of great work. So we're just trying to encourage that. And that's the vision. That's what she has to do. And if anybody who knows Madison, she is a great, motivating personality. She's great at what she's done on school board, farmers market. So she'll be great for that position.
And then Brian McHenry is the arena and ice maintenance tech. That's kind of a new position, but not really, because it's just kind of a little restructuring of the management of the arena.
Correct. It's kind of complicated for a lot of people to understand what was going on. The arena really was under the management of youth hockey.
Right.
And we brought it under house for the city. And that's a whole story there. But for the most part, we wanted to capture more of the advertising, We wanted to, whatever. And so to take that on, we just shifted him from under their umbrella ours. So yes, it is a new position, but he does the same things. Again, probably an expansive role, taking care of the arena itself, cleaning the bathrooms and making sure his team keeps the care of the arena up. And now we're more in control of that than having a third party do it. Youth hockey has obviously been the driving factor of hockey in this town for the better part of 50 years. But when you own the mall, when we control the mall, it just seemed to be better that all of that was under one roof.
Is the goal still for the city to find someone to buy the mall at some point, or is the goal at this point the city doing the best job to manage that mall?
I'm going to say both. I think if we could prove concept and somebody came in and said, listen, and we did a development agreement for 20 years or 15 years, and they showed that they were here long, let's say a local investment group of 5 or 10 people who have ties here.
Right.
This is where I push back a lot. You go back 15 years ago, and I'm that young city councilman. I come in with my ideology and whatever, and someone says, hey, we should own the mall. I would say, you are crazy.
Right.
Like, there's no way we should be owning a mall. The city's governments don't do that. But truthfully, this is almost anti-capitalist in a way to say this, but capitalism kind of failed that mall the last 15 years. 2 private entities owned it. They stopped paying taxes on it. They didn't keep it up. It went into disrepair. It fell at our feet. We inherited because the taxes weren't being paid. They collected rent, but didn't pay their bills and didn't improve it. There is a cost of doing nothing, and really nothing is an option. And it's an expensive option, which we can point to the Mohawk Square as and say, this is what happens when capitalism also goes awry, where you have some horrible tragedy with the roof collapse. Someone took the insurance money. They sold it off to somebody else for $1, basically, or whatever. I don't know the official cost.
Right.
They weren't able to fix it. And we had to take it back because now it's a health concern. And that's going to cost us, depends upon grants and all that, but it's going to cost us millions, $3, $4, $5, $7 million. We don't have a final cost officially on it, to take it down. So we've opted that the mall is better to try to do something with it than have it go into disrepair.
And you also had the curveball in there of the developer that wanted to do something with that mall, and that fell flat as well. So that complicated the process.
Yeah, correct. And people are arguing, just sell it off. Well, they really don't know their history then.
Right.
They haven't studied in what, or they don't understand the development, and it can be an asset to this town. So I think we can make it work. Am I excited about it? The young guy in me, the ideologue? No, but local government is more about pragmatism and than politics. It's reasonable, logical. What's the best step, and how do we accomplish something?
Mason City's Mayor John Lee here on the Ask the Mayor program here on KGLO today. A couple of other things. I know Aaron Burnett in his update to the council talked about the city's application for a federal grant to help with the State Highway 122 project when that ever gets started on the west side. That was turned down again, but as his comment was, it's one of those things that you just keep applying, and finally you get the funds, hopefully.
Correct. Shooters got to shoot, the old expression in sports, that we're 0 for 3. But we'll go back next year for it, and we'll continue to work for it. One thing that Aaron Burnett has been really great about in the 10 years he's been here, whatever it is getting those grants and going after it, him and his team and people at City Hall and working with WHKS. The reason we have that project coming up in 2028 is because, working grants through that, I would do DOT, and, we got $50-some million basically to go ahead with that project. So I'm sure I know Aaron very well, and he will keep swinging, and he will find a way to rewrite that thing. And I have no doubt we'll get it eventually, but it could be another 2 or 3 times.
One comment that Aaron made during his report to the council, the updates to the stormwater sewer system that have been done for the last several years have finally paid off. With the big rain event that we had a few weeks ago back, no sewer backups were reported. So that's, that was a ongoing problem in the community. Anytime there'd be heavy rainfall, there would be some sewer backups into homes, and none reported. So that's got to be a win.
It is. And I'll go back to, again, 2011 when I joined council, and I'll give Mayor Bookmeyer a lot of credit for this. It started with him. Obviously, this council and Aaron Burnett has continued, but I think it was my first year back in 2011 or 12 that we had some things that were really in bad shape, that things were falling apart. And that's when we started video, recording every single sewer line in this city through Bill Stangler. And we noticed the price of not doing anything. And it's expensive. And so, we've done a good job. Every council from my first one to now, and they've all realized the importance of, that is a job of the city. It's obviously public safety, and that's part of it, and delivering clean water and taking away dirty water. But obviously the city does a lot more than just that.
A couple of things from the beginning of the meeting back on Tuesday night. Certificate of recognition and appreciation to Russ Kramer, who's been the longtime municipal band director.
Yeah, obviously I've known Russ for 20 some years. You've known him for maybe even longer. I
Oh,
don't know.
I've known him for I'm not going
back to high school.
I'm not going to name the number of years.
So Russ is a great man, and a true asset for this community. And obviously I'm literally preaching to choir, so to speak, or the band guy, that I don't know one instrument from another, but I feel like,
we can
Harold Hill here.
We can easily teach you.
But no, my nun in fifth grade told me to stay away from it.
You know what a trombone is. So
I do know that.
That's all that counts.
I can count up to 76.
Yes.
But he is such an advocate for this town, and obviously a face of our music. And so I wanted to honor him and recognize the years he's put in here. Not just as the band director, but as a teacher, and also goes back to high school. And he knew Carlton Stewart growing up. Yep. He obviously knew Gil Leto. He taught him, and he really has this lineage back to Mason City. And so I just want to make sure we recognize that.
Another recognition that was done, Micronesian Friendship Day. Talk a little bit about that.
So that started actually with Bill. The Micronesian community in Mason City has been growing the last couple of years. So basically there's an agreement with Micronesia, with our American government, for us to have naval bases there. Micronesians get to basically come to America, work, live, work in the military, and we've had a growing Micronesian population here, and they're really big in that culture. Huge family, huge pulling together, but also softball is big for them.
Yeah.
And they're holding a huge tournament August 1st out at Frederick Hanford Park, south end of town. I got that wrong at the meeting, so
I noticed that.
Yeah, sorry. I think I knew it was 38 teams, and I thought that, I don't know, but
that's a lot of teams.
That's a lot of teams coming in for softball
for any event.
For any event, and they are coming in. And like I said, I think he said St. Louis, Kentucky, Cincinnati. I think even I didn't say, but maybe DC. It's crazy. I don't know how many they're coming from all over to have that tournament. So I would really encourage as many people, if you're looking for something to do on August 1st, go out there. Show some support. And I've known Esteka for quite a while now through the schools, and he's moved on to other jobs in the church, and great man. And I'm really excited for them and what they're contributing to this community.
Well, in our final 5 minutes of our conversation here, I want to touch on, I'm going to bring up a data center question for you.
No, let's do it.
We've had in the newscast, and the only reason I'm doing this is because we've had in the newscast here in the last several weeks talking about a number of Iowa cities and counties who've established moratoriums to further examine data centers, not to just totally shut them out. Palo City Council this week, I believe, set down some clear rules for data centers. We had the story this morning, the Wright County supervisors debating the data center issue. Clear Lake City Administrator at the end of this week's meeting saying that the council there will have a general discussion about data centers, even though there's no proposal on the table or for one to be in the community, just want to have a general discussion.
Yep.
Is it, with all these news stories that we've had in the news cycle the last few weeks, is there any thought to at least having a workshop session or a discussion, or are some of these discussions going on behind the scenes on what maybe should or shouldn't be done, setting some clear rules, just discussing the issue in general?
Short answer is not a whole lot.
Okay.
The 6 council members, continue to do their own research. We maybe want to have some conversations, but again, we don't have anybody truly knocking on the door. We have talked, city administrator and I have talked about what an ordinance may or may not look like if we want to head with that. And so I think between the 6 council members, myself and city administrator Burnett, we have absolutely talked about what an ordinance may or may not look like. And we're looking at other ones. But to the point where let's have a workshop or let's push this onto an agenda, that we haven't got to that place yet. I know the council, and I know 3 or 4 of them who have dedicated their last 4 months to learning a ton about them, good and the bad or the concerns. But as of right now, the city has not done that. And no council member or 2 council members could come forward and put something on the agenda. And I'm not quite ready to put it on the agenda yet. I continue to listen and meet with citizens about it, trying to figure out, where we're at and sit in this whole process. So it is definitely still a very hot topic in this country. Continues to be. It will continue to be. But as of right now, that's kind of where the city's at.
And the 2 sound bites from the story with Wright County this morning that kind of, hit me that I wanted to ask you about, because we've talked about a little bit of this. Obviously, the legislature and now the new restrictions on 2% property tax growth. Something like this, if a data center would come to town, would obviously help with that property tax base. The Wright County Economic Development Director is saying data centers have been around for 50 years. And the county and the county there, he says, has the opportunity to embrace updated versions of technology, which, we've talked about the closed loop type facilities that reuse water. There's other options as well in that with that specific part of that technology. But there's some things obviously to think about when you focus on those 2 things.
No, it's such a big question. There are obviously huge advantages to the town to have them, and there are definitely concerns or disadvantages, or whatever word you want to use. But I do, I think that's where the leadership comes in, the conversations, logical, level-headed conversations. Right. And so you balance all that. It's not 100% or 0. It is like where we at, and what I equated data centers with is about every profession. There are good actors and bad actors there, and our job is to make sure we weed through the bad actors and find one that we think would be a good, if it comes, that when they call, and we find the good actors who want to be part of this community, honor this community, and be part of it. And they're out there. Right. They are out there, and I know some people are like, no, they're all evil. No, it's like any business. People are against manufacturing. There are great manufacturers, and there's manufacturers that probably aren't, all that great. There are good teachers and bad teachers. Every profession has that, and our job is to make sure we find that good connection. Anything
else you want to talk about before we let you go?
No, I know a big fight Saturday down at the arena. I think what's his name? I guess this is the real pretty boy of something. It's his like swan song, and he was one of my old former football players. Actually, Mike was back in 2000, I think. Sorry, Mike, just told you your age, but no, it's good. Get out there. It's a good, fun night, and get out and enjoy Friday Night Live. We obviously are getting into the August era. Fall will be here before we know it. Get out and enjoy what Mason City has to offer.
Mr. Lee, we always appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it.
All righty. Mason City's Mayor John Lee here on the Ask the Mayor program here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO.